Welcome to Sports Charlotte, the podcast about sports in Charlotte. I am your host, Ashley Mahoney, and joining me today is returning guest Brandon Miller. Brandon, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to join again and talk a little bit of soccer.
Absolutely. And heck, we were just talking about it. It's December. It seems like, we've done so many of these between, all of the weeks of 2020 and everything that they've encompassed. But a lot has happened this year. And like we were talking about earlier, it's not over yet. I mean, more is still to come. But tell me a bit about, everything that is going on for you. You've been very busy on and off the field, and now in this off-season phase of waiting for USL Championship play to kick off in 2021, which of course we don't know when that will be. But tell me a bit about what's going on with you.
For me right now, it's mainly just focused on everything off the field, building my brand, expanding that. So that takes up a lot of my time right now. And I'm still doing a lot of work with Heal Charlotte. We've got a number of fundraising initiatives going on right now with a couple different businesses locally and events going on. And we're still doing a lot of work behind the scenes with the Black Players Alliance to get things going for 2021. So there's a lot of things in the works, a lot of exciting things going on. So I've been pretty busy.
And before we dive into everything focused on the Black Players Alliance, let's talk a little bit about you. For those who are joining us for the first time, and hopefully, they must be living under a rock if they aren't aware of all of the work that you've been doing with Heal Charlotte over the last several months. But for those who aren't familiar, throughout the course of the condensed USL Championship regular season, every match that was played, there was a fundraising system set up where you personally donated funds from, clean sheets from, as a goalkeeper, it's always great to get a clean sheet. But of course, it's even better when keeping a clean sheet amounted to X amount of dollars going toward Heal Charlotte and the work that they're doing to help people in the city dealing with housing insecurity. But also there are so many layers to that. So talk to me a bit about, what that partnership looks like. And also, I've got some questions about Prime Focus goalkeeping. You mentioned your brand. We've got to pepper you with some questions about that as well.
So as far as the partnership with Heal Charlotte, it's essentially us just doing our part to attack the homelessness issue in Charlotte, and you see it's rampant around the entire city. And so Heal Charlotte does an amazing job of housing families who are house insecure and need a little bit of help in transition. And currently working on a capital campaign to raise funds to purchase a hotel to expand their abilities to house even more families and make it a campus where we can have educational resources and have offices for Heal Charlotte and all types of resources for these families to continue their transition and hopefully get them on more stable ground. And so I joined the board with Heal Charlotte, so I've been learning a lot and really getting involved a lot with a lot of the campaigns and initiatives that they have going on, and the work's going to continue.
Fantastic. And tell me a bit about your capacity as a board member. Is it strictly a board member, or is it a specific role within the board?
So I don't have a specific role in the board. It's basically just coming on and doing what I've been doing before, building some of the relationships with the Charlotte Independents and with other, local athletes or people and bringing in just raising awareness, raising money and helping, just using the skills that I have in terms of the business world, just trying to help translate that over into the Heal Charlotte organization to benefit them.
And of course, Greg Jackson, the founder of Heal Charlotte, anytime you speak with him, obviously it seems like this symbiotic relationship of you're singing, his praises with Heal Charlotte and he's singing your praises for the work that you've done over the last several months and continuing to see people getting involved and helping them raise the 10 million for that capital campaign. So like you said, they can address the very, very deep systemic issues when it comes to housing insecurities in the city of Charlotte. And we're going to deviate a little bit in terms of, I can see, what you're wearing in this interview is a Prime Focus goalkeeping shirt, of course.
It
And
is,
you
yes.
mentioned that is your brand. So tell me a bit about the work that goes on during the off season and even in season for that matter of building a brand.
Well, it's massive time management because if being an entrepreneur and running my own business, right, everyone else gets the opportunity where maybe they wake up at 6 or 7, 8 a.m. and go straight to work. Well, in season, I have to go straight to practice, and so I lose a bit of time in the mornings in terms of working on the business. And so in the off season, I'd try to take advantage of that time as much as possible. Waking up at 6 or 7 and getting straight to work, and building out the brand in terms of expanding where our products are available, building the partnerships. We just announced a partnership with Fall River Marksman up in the Boston area, which we're excited about. I think that can lead to, we have a lot of cool things planned with them, and that can lead to more partnerships with a few more clubs. But we've worked with a couple, local schools, local youth clubs, and so just building out those relationships to help expand the brand's awareness, and then just the business side of things, just taking care of the finances and working on the marketing. And we expanded to Amazon, and if anyone who knows anything about Amazon, it's a competitive marketplace, so you kind of have to stay on that as much as possible to really gain the leverage that you want on that platform. So it's been a lot of work, but it's been exciting because it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something I'm passionate about, and it's something I've been able to build for the past 4 years. So I want to continue this growth.
What was kind of the legacy, if you will, or the aha moment that Prime Focus Goalkeeping was something that you wanted to start?
It was back in 2016 when I realized I was thinking about, I have a business degree, a marketing degree, and I wasn't really using it as much as I wanted to. And I've always wanted to build something myself, and signed with a glove brand that I didn't feel like was marketing me the way I wanted them to. So it all just came together where I just was like, hey, why don't you just do this yourself? And so I did a little bit of research, figured out I can manufacture gloves, um, and I could start a business. It's pretty easy to start an LLC. So um, it was a little naive start, but I've had some growing pains, but I've definitely learned a lot, and the business has grown a lot. So it's definitely something I'm excited about moving forward.
And of course, manufacturing gloves, of course, people, when they hear that, they think, how do you even do that? How does that even start? So what goes into that process?
Just Googling manufacturers, and then just I mean, I had some help with, I spoke to some people who had been involved in the business before, and they gave me some contacts and some ideas on who to reach out to. And just getting ideas on sourcing, and figuring out who can give me the best products that I can feel confident in, and I can feel confident selling to customers. So it takes a bit of time, but it's like any business. If you do the research and you find the right people to work with, it can be successful.
And well, can't wait to see what 2021 has in store for you. But we're going to deviate once again and talk a bit about the Black Players Alliance. And of course, when you look at the members who are kind of at the forefront, it's yourself, Hugh Roberts, teammate with the Independents, as well as Aaron Mond, another fellow 2020 teammate who's heavily involved in a number of other players. But walk me through the genesis of how the Black Players Alliance emerged, and we can go from there.
I was really just started on one of Hugh's podcasts on Backyard Footy. He brought together a number of professional black soccer players, whether it's USL, MLS, international. And we all hopped on a call and just kind of vented, shared our experiences in the game of soccer and outside, just in the world. I think it was a necessary time to do that. I mean, I know myself. I had just like mixed feelings about everything that was going on, and it's one of those things where you think like you're alone, and then you hop on a call like that, and everyone's sharing the same experiences. And like it was literally like one guy would say one thing, and it's like, yeah, I had that, and then the next person, everyone's sharing the same, similar experiences and similar feelings. And that's when we realized like, oh, we're all going through this together. We don't need to be alone when we're doing it. And so we had one call, and that turned into two calls, and then we realized, hey, maybe we should start reaching out to more players in our league and see like how they're feeling, and then conversations just flowed from there. And then once the MLS players, the Black Players for Change in MLS, they announced their group was forming, and then Hugh and I were just like, yeah, we might as well do this for USL. We have to do this for USL. So it took a number of weeks, a number of months, a lot of work for us in terms of just connecting everybody, getting everybody on the same page, understanding the mission, and making sure everybody was behind it. And then we just launched, and it's grown from there. We built partnerships are exciting. We've got more exciting partnerships coming up. We're working on a few things with the league that we're excited about. So there's definitely a lot of things that we're working on right now. Haven't quite yet been announced, but I think a lot of things are coming.
What was the process of introducing the concept like to the league? Was it something where it's a matter of, okay, you take it to the president, or there are different channels of going through? What was that process like?
I think it was more so the league was kind of ready and willing to hear from us, especially like in the moment that we're in the United States with social justice, and you see a lot of the issues that are going on around the country, that we're not impervious to those. You know, like with the league, just because we play soccer doesn't mean we don't experience the same or similar things that many of our other American um, compatriots they experience. So it's like the league knew where we were at, and they were pretty willing to talk to us and see where we're at and what we want and work with us and see how we can work together to build something better for our group, for our league, and for all the individual clubs. So we've had a couple meetings with President Edwards, and he's been pretty receptive to what we're trying to accomplish, and so we're just looking forward to continuing those conversations.
When was the official launch?
When was the official launch?
Yes.
Uh, Back in August, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on the date. I remember it was pretty rushed because um, we I don't exactly remember what exactly happened, but I remember we basically just like put together the Twitter, Instagram, everything in like 24 hours, and launched everything because we wanted to get it out there. We'd been having meeting after meeting, and we just felt like it was time to just get it out there, and start growing from there.
Yeah, of course, there are teammates who are involved in kind of the leadership and the initial organization process. But when it came to deciding, who else you wanted to be involved, how did that process end up kind of matriculating out? Was it a matter of people reaching out and saying, hey, I want to be part of the executive committee, or how did all that transpire?
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple votes, but originally in the beginning, it was more so just guys who wanted to step up. Um, and you kind of it's kind of a natural thing. If you have a call with 50 people, you notice the guys who are engaging more often, who are joining in the conversation and adding points and really kind of leading the conversation. So you notice those things, and those are the people that typically step up and say, hey, I want to be a part of this leadership group, or I want to help grow this thing beyond just being a member of it. And so that was mainly how we developed our board of directors and an executive committee. We did have a vote for our executive committee, just to make sure like the guys, all the members of the group, all 100 members, were supportive of the main guys who were leading the group. But like we've always said, I mean, the group's for everyone. Whether it's the executive committee, the board of directors, or members of the group, everyone has a voice, and everyone is helping to lead our group towards the positive change that we want.
When you look at, like you said, it was kind of a lot like much of 2020. There were unexpected moments that really led to the catapult for, hey, this needs to happen now. The Black Players Alliance is needed now. And you've been in the league for a number of years. Have there ever been conversations that could have led to something like this, or was it just kind of like 2020 was the spark that led to, all right, this has to be here, this has to be now, players need a voice?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I personally have never heard of any conversations surrounding anything like this before. And I've been in the league for 9 years, and I won't say I've been as tapped into the social justice piece, um, and especially in the beginning of my career. But I guess over the past few years, it's been something I've been more vocal about and more interested in being a part of. And so in the past, it's one of those things where I've had conversations with people. I feel like a lot of people tend to work on their own, and I feel like that's how it was in the league, where you had guys doing their own things. Where now we're trying to. We're not saying guys can't work on their own, but we want to be able to support that with, say, I'm doing something. I've got 100, BPA members behind me who support what I'm doing, and we have a larger voice and a larger collective um, to kind of stream that out to the masses. And so it's one of those things where we just want to bring together as many like-minded players who want to really affect change locally and nationally. And I think that the more that we do that, the greater our impact will be.
You mentioned 100 players thus far. What's the process for becoming a member of the BPA?
We just have an intake form just to get players information so we can keep you updated. We've got a lot of, like, next week we've got our another installment of our professional development series. So we like to keep guys updated on what's going on and what opportunities we have for them, because it's just like we want to make an impact in our communities. We want to make an impact on each individual member. Like, we want to provide them the resources to excel on the field and off the field, and some of the stuff that we're developing off the field I think can be really beneficial. So we've got like email groups and things like that just to make sure guys stay up to date with everything that's going on.
As you look at 2021, and I know we've still got a couple weeks left here, but as you look at the vision for the BPA in 2021, what does that look like? Are there certain targeted goals along something that you say, hey, we want this to be met by March or by the start of the season or by preseason or by June or by the end of 2021? Is there anything like that in the works?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just we don't have firm dates on things, but once we figure out when the season's going to start, I think we can get more detailed with that. But we do want to have a lot of the diversity training set in place, and we want to have those protocols set in place before the season starts, so that we can get each player, each club, each staff member the proper resources that they need, so that we don't, have to deal with, hopefully not deal with a lot of the incidents that we had to deal with this season. So that's one of our main targets. I mean, we've got little targets where we have certain events that we want to put on, or we have certain partnerships that we want to roll out and get things going in terms of the content or the merchandise or things like that we're going to put together. So though we don't have firm dates for those things, but we do have a list of 5 things that we definitely want to get done in the next 3 to 4 months.
And over the last several months, what have been some of the biggest changes that you've seen? Or is it still a matter of, all right, it's in the incubation phase and just getting it off the ground in and of itself? Is that was all that needed to be done for 2020?
Changes within the BPA?
Or the impact that the BPA has had thus far?
I think it's just a lot of it's awareness right now, is getting people to understand what we're about and why exactly we want to have change. I think you even see like incidents like yesterday, Champions League, PSG's Champions League game. Like those are reasons why we want to be impactful in our community, because we want people to understand why situations like that aren't acceptable, right? And we don't want that in our league, and we don't want that in any other league, right? So now we want to continue to raise awareness. I think that's what we've been able to do, because I think a lot of times in moments, where there's social unrest or civil unrest, a lot of times it boils up for 2 to 3 months, and then it kind of dies off, and we go, it's cyclical, and we don't want it to be cyclical anymore. We want to stem the tide of it. Essentially, we want to make it so we don't have to continue to protest. We don't have to continue to shout to the rooftops about social injustice, racial injustice. We want it to be normalized that you know there's equity. There's equity amongst everyone, and that starts in our league. That starts with us as players, and it's got to start in our league.
And we mentioned providing clubs with different materials toward at the eventual start of the season, whenever it may be. What does that look like?
That's a good question. We still have to. I know the league announced their partnership with an organization that does a lot of the diversity training, and we're going to work with them to develop programs and be able to give resources to individual players and clubs to in order to understand what the protocols are, what's acceptable, what's not, and so that we are still working on. Have all the details on yet.
Fantastic. And goodness knows, we will keep our eyes on the BPA, and obviously you'll be harassed by me quite a bit as things continue to go along, and just checking in about, what the progress looks like on so many fronts, because you have a lot going on. And kudos on your time management, because goodness knows it seems like the task of 2020 is how much can you fit on the plate and how do you keep it all on the plate, and you're doing it fabulously. So I can't wait to see how everything continues to develop for you over the next couple of weeks leading into 2021 and throughout the rest of the year as well. But that being said, if you were to boil down, you mentioned wanting people to really understand what the mission of the BPA is. If it was not so much an elevator pitch, but if you were to just say, all right, I've got a couple of sentences to explain it to someone who's never heard of it before, how would you do that?
We just want equity. We want the players in our league to be represented equally uh, amongst front offices, coaching staffs, the power positions within our league. We just want equity so that everyone can have a fair representation. Because right now, I just don't think that we have that. And our mission is to push for equity in all of those in power positions within the league, within individual clubs, because I think it's necessary for the representation.
Would it be something, I know that throughout the last several months, the kind of key example that has been brought forward has been what New Mexico United did in terms of creating the fellowship through their Somos Unidos Foundation for tackling exactly that, opportunities for people of color as well as for women to gain access to front office positions and coaching positions within not only USL Championship, but within the game as a whole. Is it something along those lines, where perhaps programs like that would be perhaps something that's encouraged among other clubs throughout the league?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've had a number of conversations with people affiliated with New Mexico who have intimate knowledge of their program, and that's something that we're going to continue to look at. Look at their framework and what they're doing, and see how we can push to have something like that implemented around the league, because it's a massive first step, and it's something that's needed. We can push for diversity, and then, like you said, it's not just blackface. We want to see minorities of all colors. We want to see women in more key positions, and you can see that the growth um, throughout the country in every sport in this aspect. But there's also we want it to be faster, and we want it to be a larger numbers, right? Because there's still, you look at certain leagues, and there's still key issues and key areas that need to be addressed. And I think there are those key issues in the USL as well that need to be addressed.
When you speak to key issues, do you mean specifically the lack of diversity? And not to, I feel like sometimes it can get kind of like the, oh, that's diversity and inclusion, but for lack of a better way to describe it, is it specifically diversity and inclusion that is missing from those spaces throughout the league?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can start with the USL website. It's nothing different that I didn't tell President Edwards when we had our meeting. You go to the USL website, you look at the executives that are listed on their website. The percentages are low for minorities, and in 2020, I feel like it's something that needs to be addressed. It absolutely needs to be addressed, because there about that representation in those key positions. We don't have the decisions, we don't have the voices, we don't have the representation that's needed to truly reflect a league that is a large portion majority or minority, excuse me. So um, that those are some of the issues, and it's not just the league office, right? You can look, and we've had conversations with plenty of our members in the BPA, and ask them, what do your front offices look like? And too often it's we don't see very many minority faces, and so that's the feedback we've gotten from individuals, and we've had those conversations with the league, and so those are some of the areas that we hope are addressed very
Do
soon.
do you think it's a matter of pushback? Because, like you said, you go to just about any website, whether it's club or for the headquarters of the league itself, and it's, I mean, to put it bluntly, it's a bunch of white guy faces. But is that something that you think it's the norm and it's just comfortable, and they're like, oh yeah, so and so knows this candidate, who knows this candidate, who knows this candidate, and it's almost like an inadvertent just pipeline that is continued to be fed, and people are like, oh well, there just aren't other candidates out there. And clearly, as like you mentioned on Hugh Roberts' podcast Backyard Footy, that is not the case. There are plenty of qualified Black coaches, leaders at the front office level who for whatever reason aren't given these opportunities. Is it a matter of kind of just making sure the light switch has been flipped on, or is it you've just been willfully, and when I say you, I mean front offices across the league as well as upper leadership within the league itself, you've just been willfully blind to this for too many years?
Yeah, I mean, it's conscious and unconscious. I mean, there's plenty of people, like you said, it's just comfortable, right? I'm comfortable with the people that I know, and typically the people I know that are around me look like me, right? And so then those are the people I'm going to bring into my circles. And when I'm hiring a position at a league office, that's who I'm going to hire. But um, that can't be the norm anymore. That can't be what's accepted anymore, because again, it's just all about representation. I'm not properly being represented in the league office if people who look like me, people who go through the same experiences as me, who better understand how I feel as a Black man in America, aren't represented in those rooms. You just can't make those decisions without representation in the room. And so, unconsciously, I mean, people are they go with what they're comfortable with, and consciously, I mean, I hope it's not. You would hope that it's not a conscious decision in 2020 to willfully decide to not have any diversity in your front office. And I won't say that I don't know many front offices intimately other than the Charlotte Independence, and so I can't comment on any other club's front office other than what I've heard from members of our organization.
Now, I have to ask, and this may be something that's in the back of your mind, or this may be something that's like, no, this is something I think about on a daily basis. But at some point, once, unfortunately, even for people, Paolo Maldini or someone like Ryan Giggs, who played until their 40s, and if you play into your 40s, then more power to you. But is something along the lines of coaching or front office leadership something that once the playing side runs its course, is that something that you'd be interested in?
Sorry, I missed the last part of that question.
Oh, darn technology. But is playing, or pardon me, not playing, is coaching, once playing has reached its conclusion, or front office leadership, is that something that you would be interested in?
The coaching side, no. I have no interest in coaching, but I do, from a business perspective, I do uh, have interest in stepping into either a front office role, a league position. It just depends. There's a lot of things going on off the field, and I've been able my eyes have been open to a lot of different avenues, and so it's definitely something I'm in. I mean, I'm heading into my 10th season. I'm not ignorant to the fact that at some point I'm going to have to step off the field and into the business world, and I think it's those are roles that I'd be interested in pursuing, something in a front office or in a league office role.
Now, I have to ask, heading into 10 years, there are some players who obviously don't even make it to the professional level. And then there are some who are like, all right, been in for a season, it didn't pan out. Or some who, they have a good 2 to 10 year run. But I mean, 10 years, that's a decade, that's a milestone. So one, congratulations. And two, what have you done over the last decade, or perhaps even more recently, to, really fuel your game and help you reach this milestone?
Well, one, thank you. It has been a long journey, but it's mainly just persistency. I've thought about retiring 3 or 4 different times, and so it's just a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of my ego, just still wanting to prove, my talent, my abilities, and then just persistency, consistency, and when wanting to just continue to get better. That's where I'm at right now. Is like, I've done a decent number of things in this league. I won a championship, I've won individual awards, things like that, and so at this point, it's just about bettering myself and continuing to top what before. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's what drives me now.
Like you said, you've won everything there is to win in this league, but is there kind of that elusive, I'm sure, I mean, for every player, I'd be lying if I couldn't speak from experience on that, but you want just one more, just one more on the horizon. You're like, this is going to be the season, just one more, and then maybe I'll consider hanging up the boots. But is that kind of in the back of your mind as well?
Oh, I absolutely want to win another championship. And so that's always going to be the goal. And I feel like if I continue to improve the way I have over the past couple of years, I mean, I believe I can be a goalkeeper that can compete at a championship level. Being a leader on a team is it entails bringing your teammates along with you, raising them to your level. And so if I reach the heights that I believe I know I can bring my teammates with me, and we can reach a level that's championship caliber. So it's that's definitely in the back of my mind. But I just focus every single day on just the individual needs in terms of improving, and that'll help me get to where I need to go.
Well, you know that, of course, you're returning for 2021 with the Independents. At least that is the current plan, unless I'm mistaken.
Uh, you can never be too sure about what the future holds. Like I said, I'm just focusing on, the end of 2020, and focusing on what I can do to improve on and off the field for the next few weeks.
Well, wherever your career takes you, you certainly know that somewhere right around the corner, I will be bugging you with 30,000 questions. So
Absolutely.
we certainly appreciate, everything that you're doing in the community. And it is always a pleasure having you on the Sports Charlotte podcast. So tell me, as with every ending of our podcast, how can people reach out, find out more about the work that you're doing, as well as with Prime Focus Goalkeeping?
Uh, I'm pretty easy to find. Social media, DVO26, or at Prime Focus GK. You can reach out. We have the website www.primefocusgoalkeeping.com. You can contact us through there. I got the YouTube channel and the blog and the podcast. So just leaving comments on any of those, or questions, or emailing us. I see it all, so I respond to as much as I can.
Fantastic. Well, as always, Brandon, thank you so much for joining us. So make sure all of you fabulous listeners head over, check out everything that he's got going on, and then some. And until next time, make sure that you head over to thecharlottepost.com. And whenever you're listening to this, we just celebrated our 50th newsletter for QCFC, Queen City Football Chronicle, the fabulous.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's amazing to think about, we talked about starting a newsletter to extend the work that we'd been doing with our soccer specific coverage back in January. And now we're like, whoa, we've done this 50 times.
Yeah.
Dang, I guess it stuck. I guess for some reason, people are still reading it. People are still subscribing to it. So make sure that if you have not joined our fabulous QCFC Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. family, head over to thecharlottepost.com. You can click on any QCFC story. There will be a link that will lead you to subscribe to the newsletter, and make sure that you check out everything else that's going on thecharlottepost.com, because there's a lot of fabulous content, and we are in print every Thursday. So that means the next edition is December 10th. If you're listening to this after that, well, you can check it out at the Charlotte Post newspaper.com. That is where digital subscribers can read any edition they want, because that's the beautiful thing about the digital world. It's all archived on there. But until next time, I'm your host, Ashley Mahoney. Thank you for joining us.